All right, y'all, get in here. I have one that is going to blow your mind. We are going to talk about something that just came out. An activist judge was just overruled, but not just any activist judge. A lot of you in my audience will recognize this activist judge from the 2A fight. Guys, everything is tied together. It is all woven together. The left wants to take the rights. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to walk you through the entire thing, including the judicial order which strikes down the activist judge. What's probably going to happen? They've introduced some specially trained troops just to deal with the Oregon Antifa. Guys, FAFO is about to be opened wholesale in Oregon, Portland to be specific, and we're walking through the entire thing right now. So, as you get in here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on if you want to save this country from the brink of disaster, from the ilk that I'm about to show you, and have a dang good time doing it. Make sure you do that and send this to everyone you hold dear who also deserves that experience in their lives. All right, let's get in here, people. Of course, audio, video, good stuff over there. Emojis, chats, comments. Let's get going. This is all about momentum. And we are going to go right now on time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys for showing up. All right, we're going to jump over to my X profile at Braden LOA. We're going to dive right in because those who got here on time get the reward of jumping right in. All right, here's the breaking news again. All this stuff is tied together, guys. If you take nothing away from this live stream, understand all of these niche little fights that we have in the 2A space, in the freedom space, in the First Amendment space, the border space, whatever you care about, whatever your special little item is, they're all woven together. Watch, I'm going to illustrate the entire thing. All right, this is coming out right now. Major breaking news. U.S. Appeals Court gives Trump the green light to send the National Guard into Portland, Oregon to quell anti-ICE riots outside the federal facility. Okay, you guys are familiar with Antifa's work. You know, the left is going down this shtick of they just don't exist, and everyone else with eyes goes, that's weird. You guys know the drill. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your lying ears. It's the leftist 101. Anyway, let me keep on going here. Here's something from Laura Ingraham. She posted the same thing. This is from a Fox News breaking report. And then we're going to get into the part that's important. And before I open this up, you have to understand how interlinked and interwoven all of these things are. My 2A veterans, let me hear you over here in the comments for all the newbies who are not familiar, because 100,000 people have joined this channel in the past 5 weeks, or 4 weeks, I can't remember the exact time, and welcome to the party. But there's things you guys need to know about. The 2A veterans in the comments, tell me if you remember something out of Oregon called Measure 114. Does that sound familiar? Let me hear you in the chat. I'll jump over there. But remember, Measure 114. We're going to come back to that in 1 second. Let me show you how that ties in to what just happened. Breaking. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has overruled Judge Karen Immergut's designating herself the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Now, if you guys have been with me for a while now, you know that the names and the players are incredibly important. Karen Immergut. Does that name ring a bell to anybody out there? This is how it weaves together. Once again, the duly elected President Trump will be sending the National Guard into Portland to end leftist crime. Clint Belowski says, Proposal 114, Measure 114, Yepers 114. Guys, if you are not here and you're not familiar with the 2A side of these fights, Measure 114 is some extreme gun control that was passed under Measure 114 in the last election 2 years ago in Oregon. It went through all these different judicial reviews and all these different challenges, and Karen Immergut is the one who said they were perfectly constitutional. And then it got overruled. This individual has not only shown up and now in the immigration Portland, Oregon fight, she also showed up in the 2A fight. Isn't it weird how all of these things are linked? You have to know the players, you have to know the names, and you have to know the roles. Watch. Federal judge says Oregon's new gun rules don't violate the U.S. Constitution, and I always bring the receipts. It's linked in the description. July 14, 2023. Guys, this is why we pay so close of attention. This is key to the fight. Know the players, know the roles, know the interwoven details. In a 122-page written order issued late Friday, U.S. District Court Judge Karen Immergut found banning large-capacity magazines and requiring a permit to purchase a firearm are in keeping with the nation's history and tradition of regulating uniquely dangerous features of weapons and firearms to protect public safety. Well, isn't she a peach? You have to have a permit to have a firearm. You have to have a permit to be involved in free speech, the First Amendment. You have to have a permit not to be protected or to be protected from unreasonable search and seizure. You can do this with every single one. Guys, this is why we do this. These people, the big statists, the big governors, the big leftists, they want complete and total control to dictate who can and cannot have these rights. Whether it's a two-way fight, whether it's the First Amendment, whether it's immigration, whether it's President Trump and being able to deploy National Guard, which are specially trained to give Antifa a little FAFO in life. They're all doing the same thing. It is the undermining deep apparatus that we're trying to save the country from. This is why it's so important. All right, now let's keep on going. When I say we're going to save it, this is what we're saving it from. Every day, baby, we are grinding. Let me hear you in the comments, the chats. If you're just now catching up, like, subscribe, share, hit all the buttons because we have got to do some stuff. And this is incredibly important for you to understand the backstory going back to the Antifa, okay? I showed you the same player and the judge. Now I'm going to show you why this is important. All right, always trying to weave these things together. This is from September 22nd, so this is a month ago. Designated Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. And I'm going to read this executive order from the White House really quickly. And you tell me in the chat over there when it starts to make sense or not make sense, because it sounds kind of like a descriptor to me. Anyway, let's go. Antifa as a terrorist threat. Antifa is a militarist, anarchist enterprise that explicitly calls for the overthrow of the United States government. That fact check true. Law enforcement authorities and our system of law, also fact check true. It uses illegal means to organize and execute a campaign of violence and terrorism nationwide to accomplish these goals. This campaign involves coordinated efforts to obstruct enforcement of federal laws through armed standoffs with law enforcement, organized riots, violent assaults on immigration and customs enforcement, and other law enforcement officers, and routine doxing of and other threats against political figures and activists. You guys get the idea. And it's all linked if you want to read the entire thing. But this judge right here said that Trump couldn't send in National Guard to clean that up. That's suspicious. Also happens to be the exact same judge who also said that the Second Amendment can be infringed upon, manipulating the Bruen decision. Again, if you're the two-way veterans here, you know what I'm referencing. But this right here, it is showing you the head of the snake. Not her in general, but overall, the whole thing. They're all going in the exact same direction. We are not isolated by our issues we care about. It's all one Hydra. All right, let's keep on going. I got even more for you. And again, if I'm landing these planes, let me see those planes over in the chat, because this is the fight. And I'm going to play this. I'm going to cut the music real quick, or the audio. But this is what is a peaceful, not an idea. They don't exist, right? Breaking. National Guard deployment in Portland is imminent, as hundreds of troops, this part, have already completed training for this mission, a Pentagon source tells me. It's time to take back Portland. Over past 3 weeks, troops were trained specifically for this deployment in use of force, crowd control, and more at Camp Rylea Armed Forces Training Center in Warrenton, Oregon. So deployment should face little delays now that an appeals court has lifted an activist judge's block. Let's do this. So this part right here was filmed on Saturday, October 18th, 2025. This is not something that is not going on. This is actively and currently going on. This is what the actual judge right here said was perfectly fine, and you couldn't go and clean that up. Same person who okayed the gun rights infringements in Oregon. You seeing the trends and the themes? I'm going to consistently go back to this because this is the fight. And this is what you're defeating, quite candidly. And of course, linked down there, you have the entire Court of Appeals ruling. Trump is allowed to send the National Guard into Portland, Oregon. I'm not going to open that up because I've got some MSNBC and some other leftist accounts or leftist media to go through, because they are big mad. They have big feels about this because apparently Trump kicking the crap out of them in court is really getting on a raw nerve. All right, so this is MSNBC. Listen to this 2-minute clip. Guys, this is gold. I swear to God, they are on the losing streak of a century right now. Let's keep on. Come on, MSNBC. Show me your lamentations and let me drink them up with my cup of liberal tears. Thanks, Daily Wire.
Thing and then explain why functionally it is the same. This is a stay of Judge Immergut's opinion, and that's why it reached the Ninth Circuit as soon as it did, because this is an emergency motion to essentially pause her order. But as a functional matter, you are absolutely correct. It has the function of overturning her order and thereby allowing the president to send the National Guard back onto the streets of Portland. And Katie, I want to read, if I can, just from a little bit of the beginning of this 93-page opinion. It says, after considering the record, and by the record they mean all the factual evidence at this preliminary stage, we conclude that it is likely that the president lawfully exercised his statutory authority under 10 U.S.C. section 12406. That's the statute we've been referring to as Title 10 when we have conversations about the National Guard deployments, which authorizes the federalization of the National Guard when the president is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. And this is the important part. The evidence the president relied on reflects, quote, a colorable assessment of the facts and law within a range of honest judgment. We thus conclude that defendants are likely to succeed on the merits of their appeal, basically saying that.
All right, she can take a breath from her lamentations. Guys, do you understand what this means and where this correlates? Again, I'm going to tie this together. This tapestry of freedom that we're building needs to see the other side, okay? This is really important. In that same judge's history, she consistently got likelihood on the merits to succeed or fail because she got smoked in that one too. Now, you're seeing President Trump likely to succeed on the merits. The reason that that's so important is because likely to succeed on the merits means y'all screwed up so bad in trying to block this that we're going to issue an emergency injunction or a TRO, which is a temporary restraining order, to stop your horrible judgment. This woman right here, not her, this one. This one did such a bad judgment. The same one who did the two-way infringement judgments, so bad that the Ninth Circuit said, we got to do something. You screwed this up so bad, you look dumb. He didn't say those words, but you get the idea. Good Lord. I mean, a special issuance from the Ninth Circuit? I don't know if y'all know, but they call it the Ninth Circus for a reason. It's like Lefty McLefterson. Anyway, let's keep on going. I want to hear her lamentations some more. Let's go. Comments, shares, chat. I almost said chats. Comments, shares, chats. Like and subscribe, guys. We're saving the country together. Let's get it.
When and if a court considers all of the record in this matter is tried and it gets back to an appellate court through an ordinary process where they have full briefing and full evidence, that they still think Donald Trump is likely to prevail there, because he has the discretion to determine as the president, within a range of honest judgment, when it is reasonable to deploy the guard.
You and I were talking about last week. When you get into the slippery slope of discretion,
yep.
When you start ruling when a president can do something that he has the power to do, then you start potentially handcuffing a president of the United States.
Okay, we're going to have some more fun about that little word discretion. Come here, guys. Again, for the newbies who are brand new to the channel, who have not been here for the longer term 2A fight, welcome to the party. But I want to tell you something about discretion. Discretion is what they use to institute different regimes of control around your rights, particularly around the Second Amendment rights. And before something called the Braden decision came out, different states and cities came forward and said, yeah, we're not going to let you necessarily have concealed carry permits. We're going to decide using our discretion. Well, now all of a sudden, discretion is a big bad thing. But when they can do it to infringe upon your rights, it's reasonable discretion. But after the Braden decision, which that same judge just referenced in smacking down the original judge, who also slapped the Braden decision, it kind of came full circle. Discretion is used in a tool of tyrants. All right, let's keep on going. I got something else to show you. This one boggles the mind. All right, so we're going to look at Charlemagne the God. It's a silly name, but you know what? It's the stage name. He's really upset about something, and I've got to bring it to y'all's attention because I find it fascinating. Or to quote Gavin Newsom, interesting. If you saw that video, you get it. All right, guys, last time I'll ask you, chats, comments, emojis, all the shares, like, subscribe, comment. Good. We got a mission. Let's do it. All right, this is a radio host. Big guy, Democrat, not uber left, but Democrat. Listen to what he says, and this is fascinating. You should find this interesting, real interesting.
But what I would say, and what I do say to my listeners is, it's just unconstitutional If you voted for Donald Trump because he was America first and he was going to make America great again, and you're waving your red, white, and blue flag, and you're all about patriotism, what he's doing is unconstitutional. He's literally wiping his ass with the Constitution. And this is things I was saying even doing.
Okay, so we're going to set up camp on that real quick. Come here. We got to come in close again. Guys, the entire premise of this video and the premise of the response of what you're seeing from the best people with Nicole Wallace, which is a contradiction in terms. But anyway, when you're looking at what they're bringing forward, their big fallback argument now is, well, it's unconstitutional. The entire premise is the fact that a judge on the appeals court just overruled a liberal activist judge. The checks and balances are actively being deployed, and they're saying it's unconstitutional when they've been proven incorrect. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. It's unconstitutional. Well, how far back in your history do we have to go before we start cracking on the unconstitutional things? Gun rights, go. I mean, good Lord. The members of this audience could easily destroy this guy on gun rights because we've done it for 4 years. I mean, genuinely. Now, they're just falling back to things and buzzwords that I don't even think they truly understand or care about. Because to go down the road of unconstitutional after all the COVID crap we saw, with all the First Amendment infringements we saw, with the Second Amendment infringements we saw, with the whole Fauci, ouchie, jabby, wabby thing. I mean, good Lord. Unconstitutional? That's what you want to lean on? All right, let's keep on going. Maybe it's something different. Because, guys, this is why you're winning. The disingenuous nature, the duplicity, and the hypocrisy is insane. All right, go on.
Or in the campaign. This is the same man who said he wanted, we should terminate parts of the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. I said this on Fox News a couple of times. I said it on Gutfeld show, and I said it on when I sat with Brian Kilmeade, right? And they were acting like their fact checkers couldn't find that statement. Even though it was right there, right? It's right there. Yeah. So for me, it's like, just let the patriots know that this is unconstitutional. The things he's doing, are violate the Constitution. So if you really claim to be America and America first, and you MAGA, you want to make America great again, do you really want a leader that doesn't care about the Constitution?
Okay, and this is, oh my gosh, this is also on Nicole Wallace's show. That woman on the left, she's also the woman who was on MSNBC blaming Republicans for a Democrat judge in South Carolina's house burning down immediately with no facts, and then it came out that it was not arson, it was an accident, and she's still on MSNBC, and she's complaining about how mean Republicans are and how awful that, it's unconstitutional. It literally was just proven not constitutional. It was proven not constitutional to do what that judge did, and she got overruled by the appeals court. And then here's the other piece. Leaning on the patriotism and leaning on patriots, do you really want a president that completely violates the Constitution? Does the words Joe Biden mean anything to you? The guy literally let the far left base grab auto pen, go ham sandwich. Then Kamala Harris comes in with no primary whatsoever, just gets coronated. And they want to talk to us about patriots loving the country and unconstitutionality. I say it for all of us, spare me. Because the fact of this entire content is literally that a judge just got overruled because she did it wrong. But it's unconstitutional. You're watching checks and balances in action, but really, what you're really seeing is sour grapes because they got stuffed and the No Kings Poly didn't work, and now they're going to have to reopen the government probably this week and take some serious L's and eat some crow. But you know what? We're all here for it. We're in this together. We're going to have a hell of a time while we do it, passing the next generation a better country than we found it. Because, guys, the future is bright, and we are going to celebrate that and point out things that we need to do to make that come to fruition. I love each and every one of you just the right amount. I hope this video landed the plane. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you tomorrow when we get right back to the grind. Later.